That was Electric Feel by Katy Perry, which sets up our next segment, which is a feature on an electric car that's been designed and created and is being used and raced by a team from the engineering faculty. So I'd like to introduce Aldus van der Burg, who's a student on BSc Automotive Engineering, and Alexander Pearce, who's a BSc student on Motorsport Engineering. And they're going to talk about the project developing this electric car. So I'd like to hand over to Aldus and Alexander to just introduce the project in the first instance.
Hello, I'm Alex and I'm the media officer for KUE Racing. My job involves setting up the websites, Facebooks, Twitter and all media outlets, so getting the music out, getting the newsletters out there and getting us known.
My name is Aldus van der Burg. I am the head of the Powertrain department of the team. I oversee that the car moves forwards and quickly.
Cool. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about the team itself. The team itself is made of 50 members, 26 of which are active at this current moment in time. Everyone in the team is actually students. We have business and engineering students. One of the aims of the team is actually to incorporate all Kingston University faculties, because one of the objectives to actually get into the Silverstone, the Formula Student Racing event, was to come up with a business project plan. And for that, we went to the business faculty and asked them if they could set one up. So we have some students from them, which we want to say a big thank you to, because without them, we wouldn't have actually made it to Silverstone. It just shows that this event isn't purely about engineering and building a car. There's more to it than just that. One particular individual engineer we've had recently won an award is Roberto Pace. He was featured in the River newspaper. He was the winner of Autocar Corelander Next Generation Award, and he won this with his new design for a brake disc system, which was described by McLaren's chief engineer Neil Patterson as in-wheel braking hasn't seen significant evolution for decades. For me, the most impressive thing is his courage to challenge the status quo by taking it on in the first place. Quite proud to have such an ingenious team behind us. A little bit about the actual IMechE Formula Student event. The competition is purely for students, so there's no lecturers, nothing like that, just students. The students aren't necessarily just from the United Kingdom, they're from all over the globe. There are teams from India, Brazil, America, just to name a few. The total amount of teams in the event itself is 124, with only 24 electric cars, out of which only 2 are from the United Kingdom, and we're one of them. So there's a bit of competition there. The main focus is to build our own car, so we have to design the whole thing from scratch, and then race head-to-heads against other universities at Silverstone in the coming July. It's not purely about racing, as most people would think. The cars are judged on more than that. I've mentioned before they're judged on the business plan we set up. Also, they're judged on costing efficiency, so how well we've done our costing and whether we can make it as cheaply as possible without cutting any corners, of course. Also, material usage. This is quite a big thing, especially in the eco-friendly age we are now. So we have to illustrate to the judges what kinds of materials we've used and also how much waste there is. Less waste means we get more points, and so we'll be higher up in the rankings. Also, we have the acceleration tests, braking tests, steering, so typical things you would get from a car. Just a bit about this. The steering one is a wet track test. So the track is covered in water and drivers are made to drive around cones. It's a bit more exciting than it sounds. And
so that's exactly why we've gone electric, is because of the judging aspect. If you take a internal combustion engine, which is a petrol or a diesel engine, only 25% of the power from the cylinders reach the wheels. This isn't very efficient in comparison with an electric engine where 95% reaches the wheels. So this is sort of our aspect of why we're going into the electric engines. Also, we would like to have a challenge, because if you like to say, the IC engine, internal combustion, has become fairly mainstream. We're facing a challenge of something which isn't very well known in the meanwhile. Why would we do it? Well, because the industry at the moment is having quite a difficult period, that environmental issues have completely taken control over manufacturing, distribution, and even just driving the cars has become a point of discussion for many years now. So by becoming electric early, we are entering the beginning stages of actually being ahead in research and development of electric engines. Our main research goal is to come up with systems that are highly efficient, which we can then distribute to next year's, share ideas with other manufacturers and other teams. This is also very, very good for other companies to be involved with this event, is because for them they can test their sort of new technologies and stuff. One example would be the concept that a Swedish company, Swerea Sitcomp, has come up with, where instead of using conventional batteries, which are very heavy, they're very hard to get rid of, and is one of the main difficulties for electric cars, they've integrated lithium ions into carbon fiber body panels. So the body of the car has become the battery. We've had a little bit of communication with them, but unfortunately it's still a concept. It hasn't been made yet. But that is a indication of the direction that the industry has taken, where it's gone into what was 5 years ago theoretical is now becoming a reality. And we are very, very happy that we are part of this progression into technology and advancements, which is also very similar to what Formula One is, as Alex will now explain.
The Formula Student has major connections with F1. For one thing, Formula Student is seen by students as Formula One itself. And even more importantly, Formula Student is held at Silverstone the weekend after Grand Prix. So once all the F1 drivers have cleared up and packed their bags, we're let loose on the track. Thankfully after, otherwise they might not have a track left. A big part of Formula Student is also the research and development that goes into it. I mean, as Aldus was saying, you've got companies trying to develop batteries that are the actual shell of the car itself, and in recent news, batteries that are made of fabrics as opposed to solid states. So that there's a big scientific research push in this field. Another judging feature is regenerative braking. This is a major feature in Formula One, especially amongst Ferrari, I believe. You actually get extra points if you're able to set up an efficient and working regenerative braking system within your car, which I believe is one of the things we're attempting to do.
And in terms of regaining energy, which is something that isn't very easy when the car is on the track, to gain energy you would mostly have to come in, plug the batteries into a main socket and wait a bit. But regenerative braking, you get a little bit back. And this has become very, very increased in efficiency over the years.
Also with electric cars, last year there were only a handful of electric cars, one of which actually came second overall. So electric cars aren't down in the dust. They're pretty competitive when it comes up to standard IC engines. And also, given that the Formula Student iMechie event has been going since 1998, since 2003, it's been a recurring event at Silverstone. This is pretty impressive. So it's one of the reasons why we've gone for electric.
And the electric cars which were racing last year, they were only 7 seconds within the best internal combustion engines lap times around the track. So they were highly competitive.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic, yeah.
So you guys are from the Kingston University e-racing team. I mean, my, I guess, daily experience of electric cars is walking past one of these little G-Whiz cars near where I live. So how big is the gap between, the research that you guys are doing and, the mainstream of the types of vehicle that I might buy to drive around town?
There is a slight gap. Yours has great backing. An example, in the automotive industries, they have fantastic backing from these companies. While we're sort of on our own, which is a little bit harder, but we don't think it's that much of a difference. If you really put into perspective, the basics is still there. An electric engine, electric power source, and go forwards. It's what's inside those electrics which differs. And that's where we hope to advance.
Yeah, so there could be some trickle down between the work that you're doing in high performance cars through to things that are more maybe mundane or everyday, do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. This is seen in F1 itself. Quite a lot of F1 technologies have filtered down into commercial vehicles. So there's no reason why our electric vehicles shouldn't filter down into commercial electrics. And again, there's really not much difference between them, aside from our racing car would be of a higher spec of like suspension and braking and such, and probably not as comfortable as G-Wiz's.
I don't think the G-Wiz is very comfortable.
Not from what I've seen.
But there are now more electric cars hitting the market, such as the Renault Twizy, which has shot off incredibly successfully in Italy and south of France.
Yeah.
So then you also get the more high performance, such as the Tesla, which I think everyone has heard of, and the Fisker Karma, which is a hybrid, but still generally electric.
So the race you're taking part in at Silverstone, am I right in saying it's the 3rd to the 7th of July?
Yeah, correct.
Formula student. If people want to find out more about the race or about your work, is there somewhere they can look online?
You can go to our website, kue-racing.co.uk. All our information for our team should be on there. We've also a Facebook page and Twitter if you wish to follow us on that.
Yeah.
Twitter is KU_E-Racing, and Facebook, just search for KU space E-Racing.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you, Aldus and Alex, for really detailed and an accessible introduction to your work. So that was great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.